remain unsolved. Every year, close to 300 people are murdered across Australia.
A search party discovered her yesterday.
Police certain they are those of a teenage or young woman.
It was an horrific crime that got a lot of mass media coverage at the time, but it was never solved.
Sometimes the details of the cases are so brutal, they transfix a nation.
Bashed so viciously, her skull was crushed.
Senseless acts against mothers, fathers, brothers and sisters, too brutal to believe.
Something. He's a beautiful boy, he wouldn't harm a fly.
Some cases are so puzzling, it's impossible to even identify the victim.
A quiet street turned crime scene as police arrived en masse, made harder because the body is without identification.
Then there are cold cases, the mystery of the murder lying dormant for decades.
Why was killed? Where was killed? What was killed?
Millions of dollars in rewards on the line, why do these murders remain unsolved?
The problem is for us is we know that there are people out there who have information who, if they came forward, they would change our lives.
Change the lives of families who are just desperate for an answer. Joining us now is the author of a new book looking at Australia's most baffling murder cases, Justine Ford. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're going to look at a few different cases this morning. Let's start out with the Angel of Belangolo. Her body was found, her bones were found in the Belangolo State Forest a few years back, and only up until recently, police didn't even know what she looked like.
Well, we still don't really know what she looked like, because all they've been able to do, they've got a forensic anthropologist who specialises in human heads. What she did was work with the facial approximations and the hair that she could see that the young girl had to try and create a likeness. So we can't say for sure that that's exactly what she looked like.
What do we know about then the Angel of Belangolo?
Well, we know that in 2010, in August 2010, a bunch of trail bike riders were going through the Belangolo forest, and one of them stumbled upon some human remains. Now, when the police were called in, they got the remains examined, and they were unable to say too much about this person at all, except that she was probably a teenager. We could tell that, they could tell that rather, from her bones, and also from the fact that she was wearing a distinctive T-shirt with the word Angel on it, but it was a size 10 girl's T-shirt, not a woman's T-shirt.
And they don't think that this was actually related to Ivan Milat. Tell us why.
At the time she would have been murdered, Milat was behind bars. Now, the police don't actually know whether she was even murdered in the forest or whether she was actually dumped there, which is another possibility. And the problem is that without having her identity, because they've gone through all the missing persons records and can't find out who she is, but without that identity, it's very hard to actually find a killer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's move on to the case, another case that's puzzled police for years. Inika Hinckley, she was a 20-year-old hitchhiker who disappeared in 1996. Police did eventually find her body. She'd been strangled and raped, but police had no leads after that.
No, it was a very exhaustive investigation. After she was murdered, police found out that a nearby resident of the Pine Creek area, which is where her body was found, had actually heard a woman screaming. And after that, they'd seen, or heard rather, the sound of a semi-trailer leaving the road. Now, they investigated all the drivers who went through that area at the time. So to this day, they can't actually say for sure whether a driver was responsible, a semi-trailer driver, or in fact, if it was someone else altogether. Which is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a coronial inquest a few years ago to try and unearth some more evidence. Did that yield much?
Not really, no. So police are still very much hoping that someone will come forward with that information that they desperately need, and they have not given up on this case.
Yeah, how devastating for her parents. Finally, there's the story of Bernadette Wallace. Now, this was the young mum who just moved her family over from the UK. She was stabbed in her home by a burglar, and that's all we know.
That's pretty much all we know. They'd only been here for a month, and they went to bed about 10 o'clock. They locked all the windows and doors bar one, which was the garage door, which led to another internal door which led into the house. And in the morning, Stephen Wallace, Bernadette's husband, he discovered the burglars in the house. He ordered them to leave. and one of them stabbed him and stabbed Bernadette. He struggled for his life. He did not survive. He survived, rather, but sadly Bernadette didn't. And what police are hoping now, after 19 years, is that whoever the crooks might have told about this, because killers do tend to tell other people of their crimes because it is so grave, they're hoping that perhaps that relationship doesn't exist anymore and that that person will come forward and let them know who did it and all the details.
And just quickly, your book is called One Piece of the Puzzle, and hopefully someone out there, one of the members of the public, holds that piece, and if they know anything, should call Crime Stoppers.
Please call Crime Stoppers, 1800 333 000. But the thing is that while police have got their hands busy investigating a lot of cold cases, with all the advances in technology and the extraordinary police work that our detectives do right around Australia, if anyone thought years ago that they'd gotten away with murder, they might want to think again.
Okay, thank you very much, Justine.
Thank you.
Over to you, Deb.
Sarah, thank you. Some fascinating